Debbie was a woman of easy virtue. She's been like this all the time I've known her, and that's been almost 10 years since the 11th grade. For some strange reason, known only to God, my wife Tammy and Debbie, we became best friends, even though Debbie was so light. I never slept with her. It's not that I didn't want to, because the girl was cool, seriously cool. But shortly before I turned 16, my father sat me down next to him and talked about life, not about birds and bees, but about life, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I listened because I thought Dad knew what he was talking about. During this conversation, I found out that Dad and Mom got married because they had to. Mom got pregnant by Dad, and when the families found out about it, they forced my parents to get married. You know, I've never scolded your mother in front of you, but in order for you to understand what I'm getting at, I'm going to have to do it now. Your mother was a woman of easy virtue, to be honest. That's why I was with her. I was a horny guy, and your mother was easy prey. I knew it was simple, but I didn't care because I was making love, whereas most guys my age didn't. I wasn't thinking about a steady girlfriend, let alone a marriage. I was only thinking about that. Strangely enough, your mother stopped sleeping with other guys when she started sleeping with me. So when she informed me about the pregnancy, about 4 months after we started making love, there was no doubt that you were mine. I dropped out of college, and her father got me into a tool and stamp program in Kelsey. I guess I was a little naive. I thought that after getting married, your mother would turn into a housewife and mother. And for a couple of years, it happened. It was 3 years after we got married, and I was working my shift. I was working on a work piece on a lathe when it split, and a shard hit my hand. They took me to the hospital, where they removed the splinter, sewed up my arm, and sent me home. I entered the house and found your mother in bed with one of my so-called friends. He jumped out of bed, grabbed his pants, and jumped out of the bedroom window. There were a lot of tears and requests. She went out with your Aunt Ruth and a couple of friends, and they drank heavily, and I let her convince me that he took advantage of her while she was drunk. We made up, but 6 months later, I caught her again. There were the same requests and entreaties as the first time, but this time, I kicked her out of the house. Then both families took up with me, and I gave up and took her back. A year later, I caught her again and threw her away. Again, both families began to persuade me to take her back. That time, I plucked up the courage and told them that she would not come back into my life, and if they didn't shut up, they would leave my life too. 3 months later, she left town with some guy she met at a bar. A year later, I divorced her for leaving me. A couple of years later, I found out that she died of AIDS somewhere in Nevada. I always told you that she died of cancer because I didn't think you should know the truth about your mom when you were so young. I mean, you're at a stage in your life where your hormones are starting to run amok. Learn from your dad. If a girl is too easy to get, you don't need her. If a girl is too easy to get, stay as far away from her as possible. Let some other poor fool ruin his life because of her. I listened to what Dad said and took it to heart. I really ignored some of them and fell in love with a girl a couple of times who was easy, but I always wore an elastic band to protect myself from diseases and not become a daddy. That's exactly what I did until Fred Ingram had to marry Barb Beer because the elastic band broke. After that, she became forbidden to me, and that's why I never satisfied a hot Debbie. Why this conversation to prepare the scene? Because Debbie was sitting on the couch in my living room. It was Friday night, and Tammy was staying the night with her sick mother and would not be home until her father returned from his business trip on Saturday morning. Tammy left, and Debbie sat on my couch and tried her best to seduce me into plunging my organ into her. Why did I think that? Let's call it an educated guess, an assumption based on the fact that she was wearing a miniskirt, 10 centimeters heels, a low-cut blouse, and no bra, and was sitting opposite me on the couch with her legs spread wide. Let's not forget that Debbie was a woman of easy virtue. While she was babbling something meaningless, my mind went back to the past. Debbie tried to make love to me several times. We met once or twice, and if it had been before Fred and not after, she would have succeeded. But it was after Fred, and I avoided her. Debbie went east to college, but I stayed in my homeland and enrolled in the state university. In my sophomore year, I met Tammy, and by the end of our freshman year, we were engaged and about to get married. Debbie's family died, and she had to transfer to a public university to graduate from college. The state required you to work at least 30 credit hours at the university to get your degree, But Debbie had a very influential family, and they had good lawyers. They managed to reduce that number to 20. Debbie was determined to finish school on time. So during summer school before her senior year and throughout her senior year, she carried a 24-hour workload. Tammy, my fiancée, was a party girl in her freshman year and skipped a couple of classes. Having decided to graduate with me, she also attended classes before our senior year. I spent that summer working as an intern at an engineering firm in Dallas. When I returned home shortly before the start of my senior year, I discovered that during my absence, Tammy and Debbie had somehow become close and fast friends. I'd be lying if I said it didn't bother me. I spent many nights wondering if Tammy and Debbie were dating in the evenings. It's been a few years since I last saw Debbie, and she might have changed, but I remembered her as a woman of easy virtue. Remembering my dad's words, once simple, always simple, I assumed she was still like that. The question was, did she do it while Tammy was with her? Yes, damn it, I was worried. I've been sniffing around, but I haven't found anything that would give me any clue. After graduating, Tammy and I got married a year later. Debbie met Dennis Frazier, they got married, and Debbie seemed to have changed. Debbie and Tammy maintained their friendship, and we invited Debbie and Dennis to barbecues and one of their pool parties. About a year after Debbie and Dennis got married, she returned to her dissolute habits. I do not know if Dennis knew, but I doubted it. And if he did, then Tammy hid it from me. I only knew about this because I saw Debbie and Mark Mosser making love in the back seat of Mark's Impala in the parking lot of a bar on the night of Janan Greener's birthday party. When I asked Mark about it later, he told me that he saw her satisfying P.H. Reed at Mike Matson's party and thought he might give her a try. Mark said, "I've never tried anything better, and I don't hope that I'll ever find it." After that, I closely followed Tammy's actions when she was with Debbie. I finished my thoughts when Debbie said, "We've known each other for a long time, Frank. I have a problem that I need your help with." "I'll help if I can, Debbie. What is the problem?" "It's very personal, but you've known me for a very long time, and you know what I was like in high school. If I was still like this, I would have done the same thing back then and just slept with some guy. I can't do that now that I'm a married lady. What do you want, Debbie?" "This is what I need for my mental health, Frank. I'm talking to you because I know I can trust you. I know what's going on here will stay here. Stop beating around the bush, Debbie. What do you want?" "I want you to make love to me." "Are you crazy? Oh my God, Debbie. Tammy's going to kill me, and Dennis is probably going to try to do it before Tammy does. Tammy will never know, and Dennis won't do anything, even if he does. He'll be too busy hiding." "Is he hiding? That's the thing. I want to get even with Dennis. Dennis had an affair with one of the girls he works with. Now it's over, and he doesn't know that I know. I'm not happy with him right now, but I love this jerk, and I see no reason to ruin my marriage because of it. The problem is, I'm determined that I can't let him get away with it without doing something to even the score, even if he never finds out about it. I have to get even, but it has to be with someone who I know will keep quiet about it. How about this, Frank? I know that you wanted me when we were in high school, and I know that you were interested and have thought about taking care of me when we went to the club with Tammy and Dennis and you danced with me. I felt this interest in my foot. It's our secret, Frank, just the two of us. Something was wrong here. Debbie and Tammy were as close as sisters, and neither of them would ever betray the other. It suddenly occurred to me that Debbie was trying to set me up. She wanted me to satisfy her, so that Tammy would have something to hold the axe over my head. This meant that Tammy had either done something or was going to do something, for which she might need a get-out-of-jail-free card. If I found out, and the only thing I could think of was that she might need it for cheating, that would be exactly what Debbie said she wanted for Dennis. "You did it so that I could do the same in my case?" It would be, "What can you sleep with Debbie, and I can't sleep with anyone?" Oh no, Frank, there are no double standards in this house. Obviously, Debbie didn't know that I was aware that she was acting like a woman of easy virtue again. If Dennis was sleeping with a woman where he worked, it was probably because he was trying to get even with Debbie. Either Tammy was cheating on me and wanted to get insurance in case I found out, or she was planning to cheat and wanted to get insurance. I didn't know what it was, but I was damn sure I would find out, and the only way to do it was to play along. It's a damn tempting offer, Debbie, but I can't accept it. Not today. My cousin Lou is coming here to help me fix the brakes on my truck. He should be here any minute, and of course, Tammy will be there. I have no idea when she'll be back. I won't be able to help you tomorrow because I'm going to be helping my dad rebuild the roof of his barn. Call me at work one Monday afternoon, and we'll see if we can arrange something. But you have to be damn sure that Tammy will never find out about this. Don't worry about it, Frank. She'll never know. I walked her to the door, and looking after her, I didn't know what angered me more, that my wife thought I was going to sleep with her, or that Debbie thought I was a cheater like her. When she left, I went to the garage. 2 years earlier, Lou suspected that his wife was cheating on him and turned to me for help to find out. Lou didn't know how to handle instruments. Give him one, and he'd find a way to hurt himself. I connected to the internet and figured out how to tap the phone line, and then installed a wiretap on his home phone. It turned out that Martha had not cheated on him, and when the dust settled, I took off the wiretap but still had the recorder. I took the necessary tools out of the toolbox and, 20 minutes later, I connected my home phone. I doubted Debbie would call Tammy at her mother's house, fearing my mother-in-law would hear something. Tammy didn't have a cell phone at the moment. She dropped hers in the toilet. Don't ask. We ordered a replacement, but it hadn't arrived yet. So, any conversations between Debbie and Tammy had to be conducted face-to-face or on our home phone. As soon as I put the phone back in place, I got myself a beer and went out to sit on the patio to drink it, thinking about what to do if my loving wife lost her way or was going to do it. Tammy wasn't home when I went to the golf course. I had an appointment with my cousin Lou and 2 friends. We had a game scheduled for 10 o'clock. I figured Tammy would be home around 11 o'clock or so. If it was a normal day, I wouldn't be home until 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Tammy and Debbie had plenty of time to talk on the phone, and if they didn't talk that day, they could always talk tomorrow. Because I wasn't lying when I told Debbie that I was going to help my dad on the roof of his barn by the time I leave home for work on Monday, I should have at least some idea of what's going on. I had a good day on the track and, for the first time in my life, I almost tied the score. But the 9th ball hit a sand trap on the 18th hole and ruined everything. It took me 2 shots to get out of the game, and I was so angry with myself that I made 3 shots and ended up getting 3 points over par at 75 points. Nevertheless, it's not a bad day for a duffer on the weekend. Tammy was at home when I arrived, and I wasn't surprised when she dragged me into the bedroom. We are used to a good personal life, and she had been gone for 3 days. We had a tedious romp, and then I invited her to dinner. When we got home, she wanted to play some more, and of course, I agreed. When she fell asleep, I got out of bed and went downstairs to check the dictaphone on the phone line. Hello, it's me. I just got home. Frank went to play golf, so I'm home alone. How did everything go? He was interested but didn't do it because his cousin was coming, and he wasn't sure when you'd be able to come home. He asked me to call him at work on Monday afternoon. Are you really sure you want to do this? I'm sure. I've never had a really big organ before, and I want to try it at least once. You know, there's no guarantee that even if I satisfy Frank, he'll go along with the "you did it," so I could scenario. He'll agree. He loves me, and he knows that I love him. Maybe things won't be so smooth for a while, but we'll be fine. He's your husband, so I think you know him better than I do. But the Frank I knew before he married you wouldn't agree with what you're hoping for. I'm not trying to talk you out of it, Tammy, but you have a damn good boyfriend. Are you sure you want to take a chance? It's going to be okay, Debbie, she replied. He won't know. I just need insurance in case he finds out by some strange accident. Okay, baby, but it's on your conscience. I tried to warn you. Hey, girl. It's all your fault from the very beginning. How do you understand that? If you'd picked up a couple of big organs for me before I married Frank, I wouldn't have been so curious to know what a big one was. That's not fair, Tammy. I didn't even know Dennis at the time, and until I met him, you had all the male organs I had. Anyway, it's your fault. You shouldn't have told me how big Dennis was. It's Dennis's fault, not mine. He liked you from the day he met you, and kept pushing and pushing me to find a way to bring you together. Ask Frank to take care of you, and Dennis's wish will come true. Call me and let me know how Monday goes. Are you sure you want to wait? Frank said he would be away all Sunday afternoon to help his father. You'll have all day to satisfy your curiosity while Frank's not around. No, I'd rather wait until next week, she said. Frank said the other day that he might have to fly to San Diego for a training seminar next week. If he leaves, he'll be gone for a couple of days, and that's when I want to do it. Good. I'll call you after I talk to Frank. I went back to bed, worried. If Tammy carries out her plan, we're finished. I wouldn't live with a cheating wife. I grew up without a mother because of cheating, and it was something I just couldn't come to terms with. I've been thinking about what I should do in this situation for so long that it's amazing I didn't fall off the roof of the barn because my thoughts were far away and not about what I was doing when I was driving home from Dad's. I already knew what I was going to do. I was going to tackle this from the very beginning when I got home. Tammy wanted to sleep with me before dinner, which we did. Then, while she was cooking dinner, I went down to the basement and checked the recorder. Tammy didn't talk to Debbie, but she did talk to Dennis. "Hello, hi honey. You shouldn't have called here, Dennis." What if Frank had answered? Debbie told me he'd be gone all day. What if the plans had changed? What if he was still here? It's not like that, so there's nothing wrong. I know he left because I parked at the end of the block and saw him drive away. I can walk through your door in less than a minute. Dennis said, "No, it won't happen until next week. Come on, attractive lady. You know you want to feel me throbbing 30 centimeters inside you. We can do this today and next week." I said, "No, Dennis. Yes, I really want to feel it, but not before everything gets better for me." "Come on," I said. "No. Damn it, it means no." And she hung up the phone. After dinner, Tammy wanted to make love a little more, and I decided I'd better take advantage of it since it would probably be a little chilly in our house after Monday. Monday at work turned out to be quite stressful, and I was on the road almost all the time before lunch. Work is only a 10-minute walk from home, so I quickly drove home at lunchtime. Mail is usually delivered between 9 and 10, and UPS and FedEx usually deliver it to our area in the morning. I was lucky. AT&T had sent Tammy a new phone, and the package was on the porch. I grabbed it and headed back to work. Tammy was not allowed to answer personal calls at work, and without a cell phone, she could only communicate with Debbie or on her home phone. I think Tammy could have stopped somewhere and used a pay phone, but I just couldn't imagine Tammy talking about personal matters in a phone booth. Debbie called me at 2 o'clock, and after exchanging greetings, I immediately got down to business. "We're not going to date, Debbie. I know that your story about how you want to get even with Dennis is complete nonsense because I know about how you slept with Phil Reed at Matson's birthday party, and I personally saw you sleeping with Mark Mosser in the back seat of his Anala. I know about a few of your other pranks. I do not know what game you are playing, but I am not going to be one of the players. So thanks for the offer, but no." I think she didn't take the rejection very well because she hung up without saying another word. I got home 10 minutes before Tammy. I opened a bottle of marrow and was sitting at the kitchen table with 2 glasses when she came in. She came in, saw the situation, and asked, "What's the occasion?" I replied, "I just need to clarify something. Sit down and take a sip while I tell you a story." She sat down and I said, "I misled you. Well, to be honest, I lied to you. I told you that my mother died of cancer when I was little, but that was a lie. I said it because I was ashamed of the truth. My mother did not die of cancer but of AIDS." I told Tammy what my father had told me and then added, "I can't stand cheaters. Tammy, my mother cheated on my father, and as a result, I grew up without a mother. He forgave her twice, but when it happened the 3rd time, he kicked her out. There is no place for cheating in my heart. Why am I talking about this now? Because I need to clarify the situation, so to speak. Debbie paid me a visit on Friday night, and I went on to tell her what the visit was about and what was said. It was all crap, Tammy. I do not know if Dennis is cheating with her or not, but if he is, it's only to get even with her. I told Tammy everything I knew about Debbie, Mark, Debbie, and Phil Reed, and then said, Debbie was a woman of easy virtue in high school and still is. And that's how I realized that the story she told me was absolute nonsense. The question arises, why would she come here and dump all this nonsense on me? I'm not stupid, Tammy. I may not be the sharpest knife in the world, but I'm not a fool either. You and Debbie are inseparable, and I don't believe either of you could betray the other. From this, I draw the inevitable conclusion that you knew about her visit. I asked myself why you two would pull such a stunt and came to another inevitable conclusion. You set me up. You wanted me to satisfy Debbie so you could blackmail me with something. And the only reason I understand you wanted to do that was because you either did something or planned to do something. What do you think you might need a prison release card for? This thought led to the question of what it could be and led me to the third inevitable conclusion. You've already cheated on me or are planning to. If I accepted Deb's offer and if you cheated on me and I found out about it, you'd say something like, you did it, so you can't scold me for doing it too. That's not going to happen, Tammy. I'm not going to live with a cheater. You're a grown woman, and I can't tell you what you can or can't do, but I can tell you what I'll do if I find out you cheated on me. I'll throw you in the trash so fast it'll take your shadow a week to catch up with you. As I spoke, Tammy's face was getting redder and redder. She was fuming and couldn't hide it. How dare you talk to me like that? May I, Tammy? I asked to interrupt her. I've already told you that I'm not a fool. No amount of bluster and indignation will change anything. I've explained my position to you. What you will do with this knowledge is up to you. I'm going to go to Bud's bar for a burger and a beer. You'll have some time alone to digest what I've said and decide if you want to live with me or not. I left the house and went to the bar. Heck, you just wouldn't understand it. The first person I saw when I walked into Bud's was Dennis. My natural desire was to go up to him and punch him in the face, but of course, I couldn't do that. I couldn't ignore him because of our supposed friendship. I couldn't let him know that I was following him because that would most likely give away the fact that I had a way of getting information, and that would probably give away the wiretapping. I swallowed it, went over, and sat on the bar stool next to him. We chatted a little while, watching the A versus Red Wings game on the TV above the counter. After a while, he paid for the drinks and got up to leave, saying he needed to get home before Debbie got mad at him. He left, and I wondered if Debbie would be mad at him if he couldn't help her if he had finally satisfied Tammy. I would have done everything I could to use him and his balls in a big way around 10 o'clock. I decided that was enough for today. I went home. When I got there, Tammy was already in bed. So I went down to the basement and checked the wiretap on the phone. Hello, hi girlfriend, I said. The news is bad. When I called him, he turned me down. He realized that my story was untrue because he knows that I sleep with other guys. It's much worse. He understood why and warned me that if he caught me cheating, he would kick me out. So, what are you going to do? I asked. Don't get caught, she replied. Are you sure that's wise? If he suspects anything, he'll be watching you like a hawk from now on. How will he know? I always visit you, anyway. The only ones who will know are you, Dennis, and me, and we're definitely not going to talk about this with anyone. He'll keep an eye on me in the evenings when I'm out and check on me when I'm not at home, but he won't suspect anything when I'm at your house. Maybe if I were with you, but not when I'm at your house. He would have known that I wouldn't have done anything if Dennis had been there. Maybe I understand that he didn't expect you to do anything while you were here. He does not know that it is the fox that guards the coop. Are you sure you want to take a chance? You have a damn good marriage, and I know that you love this guy, and I have no doubt that he loves you. Are you sure you're willing to risk all this just because you're wondering what a big organ looks like? I would not do this under any other circumstances, but there is no risk here. There's no risk at all in doing this at your place. Frank will find out that I'm visiting you, and he won't even think about Dennis while Dennis takes care of me. Frank will sit and watch TV. If he thinks about me at all, it will only be about you and me sitting at your kitchen table and exchanging recipes or talking about some other feminine things. And when you come home and he wants to make love to you, how are you going to explain your fatigue? That's the reason I don't want to do this before next week. Frank will stay in San Diego for 3 days attending a seminar. He leaves on Wednesday morning and won't be back until the end of Friday or the beginning of Saturday, and my period should start sometime on Friday. I'll have plenty of time to get myself back to normal. I hate to keep talking about this, but are you absolutely sure you want to risk your marriage just to find out what a big male organ is? If you're so worried about my marriage, why did you even tell me how big Dennis was? Why did you make him take it out and show it to me? When I laughed at you and said that no one could have such a big organ, you know how simple I was before I married Frank, and you should have known how I would react when I saw this huge piece of meat. It's all your fault, girl. You triggered it when you told Dennis to get it out and show it to me. I'm just surprised I didn't do it right away. Okay, girlfriend, let's do it next Wednesday. There was something else, but I got the gist of it, and what I did pretty much ruined my marriage. I disconnected the recorder from the phone line and then went upstairs to the bedroom and turned on the light. Tammy was asleep, but she woke up when I started opening and closing drawers, taking out her things, and carrying them across the hall to the guest bedroom. She sat down and asked, "What are you doing, Frank? What are you doing with my clothes?" I replied, "I'm evicting you, Tammy." She asked, "Are you evicting me?" I said, "I'm not going anywhere." I responded, "Oh yes, you're leaving, Tammy. You're moving into a spare bedroom until you find a place to live. Maybe Debbie will let you move in with her and Dennis. You'd like that, wouldn't you? The opportunity to be near his big organ and all that." She said, "Are you crazy?" I replied, "No, I just found out that my wife sleeps with everyone. How dare you talk to me like that?" I said, "Take it easy, Tammy. All I had to do was listen to you plotting to cheat on me. Are you crazy?" "No, but you must have been crazy if you thought you could get away with what you were planning." I took the recorder out of my pocket, put it on the dresser, pressed the play button, and then watched her eyes widen and the color drain from her face as she listened to herself lay out her plan to cheat on me. I took her by the hand, pulled her off the bed, grabbed the recorder, and dragged her into the guest bedroom. I pushed her onto the bed, put the recorder on the bedside table, and said, "It was recorded after I told you that I was absolutely intolerant of cheating. You either didn't believe me or you didn't care. Anyway, you're getting out of here. I'll give you a week to find a place to sleep, and if you don't come out by then, I'll take you outside and put you on the side of the road. In a week's time, starting today, there will also be a garbage collection day, and how appropriate is that? You can pick up the rest of your things from the bedroom while I'm at work." I left the bedroom and went down to the kitchen, took a beer out of the fridge, and went out onto the patio. I sat down and drank a beer until I calmed down. I had almost finished my beer when Tammy came out and asked in a weak voice, "Can we talk frankly?" I got up and said, "No, we can't." And I got up and went into the bedroom. When I got up in the morning and went down to the kitchen, Tammy was already there. It didn't look like she went to bed, or if she did, she didn't sleep very well. When I entered the room, she looked up at me and said, "The coffee is ready." I took a cup, added cream, and went out to the patio to drink it while admiring the sunrise. Tammy came out and sat next to me. She was silent, and I just ignored her. After about a minute, she said, "Are you really going to throw me out without even talking to me? What is there to talk about?" I responded, "Last night, before I went to the bar, I made my position clear. You knew exactly which side I was on when it came to cheating. It hadn't been 30 minutes since I left the house, and you were already ready to call Debbie and arrange a time when you would cheat on me. All I'm doing is dumping you before you have a chance to do it." "That's what we need to talk about," Tammy insisted. I wasn't going to do that. After I hung up, I thought about what Debbie had said. She was right. I have a really damn good marriage and a really damn good husband. I've thought about it long and hard, Frank, and I've decided that I'm too good to risk losing it by cheating. By the time I thought it over, it was too late to call Debbie back, but I was going to call her as soon as you left for work and cancel the appointment. Honestly, Frank, I wasn't going to finish this. That's what you're saying now that I've caught you, but unfortunately for you, I don't trust you anymore. As far as I know, you're lying to me about changing your mind. In my opinion, you are trying to prevent possible consequences, and everything you say serves only your interests. I don't trust you anymore, and I'm not inclined to waste the time and effort it would take to make sure you didn't carry out your plans. I go on business trips too often, and I'm not going to spend time away from home wondering if you're cheating on me or not. And you spend too much time at Deb's, time that you could use to sleep with Dennis. No, Tammy, you screwed up when you made your cheating plans after I warned you. I can't trust you, and I'm not going to spend my whole life wondering where you are and what you're doing when I'm not around. And it's not just business trips. When I come to help my father, I'm usually away from home for 10 to 12 hours. When I play golf, I'm not at home for 5 or 6 hours. Debbie and Dennis are only 5 minutes away, so while I'm gone, I'm going to think about what you could do, and I'm just not going to live like this. I'm going to end my relationship with Debbie. You say, you'll do it, but if I'm not here, how will I know you're not visiting? Do you understand what I'm saying, Tammy? I just don't trust you anymore. I've been sitting and listening to you lay out your plans to sleep with Dennis while I'm gone. I've listened to your plan for all occasions. You chose the time yourself so that my trip and my period would provide you with all the necessary cover. It was an elaborate plan to cuckold me. You just had to try the big one. It didn't matter to you that you were a married woman who had taken a vow of fidelity. Finding out what it feels like to feel a big organ was more important to you than my feelings or our marriage. We didn't even consider the possibility that you would like big organs so much that you would want more. It's a slippery slope, and once you step on it, you have no idea where you're going. You can't do this to me, Frank. You know that I love you. Really? Thanks to the wiretapping. I know that you love me so much that you were here as simple as Debbie while I was in Dallas and remained faithful to you. From what I've heard, it's a wonder you didn't invite me home from Texas after infecting me with venereal disease. Considering what I heard on the recordings, I wonder if you cheated on me the whole time we were married. I think about all those nights when you went to bachelorette parties with Debbie and other girls, and I wonder if you cheated on me back then. You can say you've never done this, but why should I believe you? You say you're going to end your relationship with Debbie, but why should I believe you? You say you've changed your mind about sleeping with Dennis, but why should I believe you? You can swear on a stack of Bibles that you will never cheat on me, but why should I believe you after hearing how carefully you plan to make a cuckold out of me? Why should I believe everything you say? Damn it, Frank, you have to give me a chance. You have to give us a chance. How can I do this, Tammy? I don't trust you. How can we stick together when I don't trust you, when I don't believe a word you say? Tell me, Tammy, how can I give you a chance in such circumstances? If you can figure out how I can do this, let me know. I got up, went up to the bedroom, and got dressed for work. Tammy was taking a shower, getting ready for work, and I took the recorder from the bedside table, took it to the basement, and connected it back to the phone line. I was sure that Tammy was too shocked to notice that the recorder was missing and that she would call Debbie after I left the house and went to work. I had a lot to do with work, and I didn't have time to think about Tammy's situation. I left work early so I could get home before Tammy and check the recorder. Tammy didn't call or answer the phone, so I turned on the old recorder and recorded what was on it on a new recorder. Then, I threw the old one on the floor behind the bedside table and connected the new one to the phone line. I got in my truck and drove to Bud's bar, and when my beer arrived, I called home and left a message on my answering machine that I would be back late. I had a few guys I knew at the bar, so we got together, played billiards, and drank beer until 11 o'clock, after which I decided to end it and go home. Tammy was in the guest bedroom, and I didn't know if she was asleep or awake, and I didn't care, not even trying to figure it out. I went downstairs and checked if the phone was ringing. There were calls from her sister and mother, but this was the third call that interested me. Hello, it's me. What happened? I was caught. Have you been caught? What does it mean? Obviously, your visit to Frank aroused his suspicions, and he connected the recorder to the phone line. He has everything we talked about. He knows that we planned for me to try your hubby's organ. He was unhappy, evicted me from our bedroom, and is talking about a divorce. So, they're recording us right now. No, he gave me a dictaphone and made me listen to it. It's on the bedside table in the guest bedroom where he put me to sleep last night. So, what are you going to do? I do not know if I can do anything. He was adamant that he no longer trusted me. He won't believe anything I tell him. He gave me a week to find a place to stay. Overnight, he said that if I didn't come out by the next day of garbage collection, he would put me on the side of the road next to the trash cans. You can stay with us? Dennis would have loved that. That's the last thing I'll do. In fact, after talking to you, I decided that you were 100% right and that I shouldn't risk what I have out of curiosity. I was going to call you this morning and cancel the meeting, but by then, it was too late because Frank had already listened to the recording. Maybe it would have been okay if he had waited until today to listen, because then he would have heard me calling and canceled the meeting. I can't imagine him carrying out his threat and kicking you out. Anyone can see that this person loves you, and I know that you love him. He just needs time to cool down. You didn't hear him, Debbie. His tone was the coldest I've ever heard. I really believe that he was sincere. The fact that I understand what he's driving at doesn't help at all. He really goes on business trips, which sometimes causes him to disappear for several days. And after what he heard on the recorder, why should he believe that I will behave while he is gone? What's worse is that he heard what a simple woman I was when he was away in Texas, and now he thinks I probably cheated on him throughout our marriage. I'm surprised you didn't do that. I would have bet good money that you would have continued to act like a crazy woman of easy virtue, even after you said yes to Frank. It's called love. I love him so much that I didn't even think about other guys until you started talking about the size of yours.